Hi, today we are going to solve another Leetcode problem, letter combinations of a phone number. The question is given a string containing digits from 2 to 9, inclusive, writ- return all possible letter combinations that the number could represent. So a map of a digit to letters, and the map looks something like this, just like on telephone buttons. And here we can note that 0 and 1, they don't map to anything. So how to solve this problem? So we have so first of all we need to have that mapping. Need to store it in some data structures, and we can either use a hash map or we can also use an array. So here in this case a string array is sufficient, so we have that. String array, let's call it mapping, is equal to that. Now 0 doesn't map to anything, and so does 1. So a maps to, so 1 maps to, sorry, 2 maps to ABC, and 3 maps to DEF, and 4 maps to GHI, JKL, MNO. 7 maps to actually PQRS, and 8 maps to TUV, and 9 maps to WXYZ. So that's all the mapping we need. So now let's take care of the base cases, that if digits is empty, is equal to null, or digits dot length, or instead of length we can use empty. Then we'll just return an empty array string, array list. So the idea is to solve one character at a time. So in this first example, as it shows here, 2 3, and so first we get the mappings of 2, and the mapping of 2 is ABC. So we fix up the first place, and then we choose the next place, we go to the next place. So for the first place we'll have to iterate over the mapping, that is the mapping of 2, which is ABC, and for each of that places where we store A, B and C, and we now can move on to the next recursion. We'll place the second character from the next digit mapping. In this example the 3 is here, so let me write down here. So 2 maps to ABC, and then we can fix up the first place and then move on to the next recursion. So in the second place also we have, the second place is 3, and the mappings will be DEF. So here also we fix up one of the places from the mapping, that is either we can fix up the second place as D or E or F, and then we can increment the counter and follow on the recursion. So now the base case of this recursion is that when I'm done with all of these characters uh, of the string, of the digit string, then I'm done. So that means that when my index of some kind, it reaches to the length of the string, of the digit string, then I'm done. So to do that, let's create a list of string and let's call it result. Let's call it new array list. And then we can just start our recursion from the first place, that is, let's call it recurse, and we need to have the string, so s is over there, and then the idx, which in our case we start with 0, and the next thing is that we need is the running expression. So in our running expression, uh, from the beginning we should give it an empty string, and then finally to populate all these strings we need to give it the result. And then finally when my recursion is done, I can just return the result. So all that now is needed to understand this recurse function, how it's written. So we'll have this void function and call it recurse, and then this is string s, that is a digit string, and then we need a index to signify what we are working on, and the next thing we need is a running expression. Let's call it run expr, and finally we have this list. Let's call it collect. Now the idea is to first get the mapping. So we get the idx character of s and convert it into an integer. So let's say we are getting so for example we are getting the character 2, and then we need to convert it into the integer 2 to index it from the mapping, and once we get the result, it should be ABC, and then we can iterate over the individual character of ABC. So let's have this mapping. Let's call it mapping, digit mapping, and that is equal to we also need to have the maps. For that we can just create it over here, private string maps, is equal to null, and then when I'm done with this, I'll say this dot map is equal to mapping, and now when I'm done, so I can grab it from the maps dot so I can get s dot caret so that gives me the character, and now I need to get to convert it into an integer. So for that I can use the get numeric value function of character class, get numeric value, and once I'm here I can run a loop character ch over digit mapping. So now I will fix one of the places and then recurse further. To do that, just call this recurse. So digit mapping is going to be a string. I need to convert it into an array of characters. So for that I can use to char array function, and then I can just increment the counter of index and add the current character to the running character, and this collect will be the same. Okay, so now we are done with recursing. We are fixing up one of the position and adding it to the running expression, and now we have to find out the base criteria. That is when I'm done adding each of those characters. When the idx is equals to s dot length, I can stop this recursion and add whatever running expression is formed into that list. So if idx equals to s dot length, then I can say collect dot add run expr and finally return. So let's see if that works. Okay, so there is some cannot find symbol. Okay, it's a string array. String maps, and this should be maps. Line 19. So this should be digits. Okay, perfect. That got accepted.